Local 4 News starts now with a breaking news alert.
We begin with that breaking news from Detroit. That's where a stretch of I-96 is closed right now due to a crash. This is happening in the eastbound lanes of the expressway right at Wyoming. Police say about 8 cars were involved in this crash. No word on if anybody was hurt. I-96 is closed from Telegraph to the Davidson, but it's expected to reopen soon. Troopers want to remind everyone to slow down with those slick conditions out there tonight, as there have been several crashes across Metro Detroit. Our other top story is the weather. As you saw there with those slippery road conditions, the first measurable snowfall of 2023 has hit Metro Detroit. The forewarned weather team tracking more snow, which could be coming later this week. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pamela Osborne. We're going to bring in forewarned meteorologist Brian Sherman. I know that you're monitoring those icy conditions outside now, also keeping your eye on that snow that's coming later this week.
Yeah, the National Weather Service has actually chimed in on the road conditions this evening, putting a special weather statement out about 30 to 45 minutes ago, specifically for the slick roads. We've still got some light snow coming down this evening with temperatures going just below that freezing mark. We could see some icy patches, especially on elevated surfaces, bridges and overpasses, after most of the region saw at least 1 to 2 inches of snow working throughout our Sunday. The final total, 3.3 inches of snow today over at Metro Airport, 3 inches working over into East Point, 2.3 inches over in Ann Arbor at the University of Michigan, right at 2 inches in Shelby Township, as well as the University of Michigan over in Dearborn, and 1.3 inches over in Farmington Hills. And we still have just a little bit of snow on the radar at 11 o'clock tonight. Exact Track 4D has that from Waterford down to Novi, then just to the east of Howell, and then between Lansing and Jackson, a little skiff of snow as well, but that will continue to wind down as we go throughout the next 1 to 2 hours. Sitting at 31 right now here in Detroit, as well as over in Ann Arbor, 30 right now working over into Howell, and 30 checking in at Adrian. The snow finally starting to wind down. Cloud cover continuing to stick around, but you can see that snow kind of drifting off to the south here, just fizzling out as that low is pulled off to the east. The cloud cover sticks around to start our Monday. We'll decrease that cloud and increase the sunshine, with temperatures heading into the upper 30s tomorrow before more snow looks to accumulate as we head into the middle of the week. I'll break down how much snow we can be looking at for Wednesday in your complete 4-1 forecast coming up in just a few minutes. With the wintry weather around, now is the time to download that 4WAR weather app. Exact Track 40 radar, future track, and weather alerts all in the palm of your hands. You can find it in your favorite app store. Just search WDIV.
Now to a developing story from California. At least 10 people were killed and at least 10 more injured in a mass shooting in Monterey Park, California. The shooting happened late Saturday after thousands of people had gathered for a Lunar New Year festival. The suspect fled the scene, but police later found him dead in a van. NBC's Kathy Park has the latest.
A day of celebration turned into a day of mourning and shock after a gunman entered a dance hall here in Monterey Park just as Lunar New Year celebrations wrapped up, and officials say that he entered, killing 10 people and injuring several others. Officials have identified the suspect, a 72-year-old Hu Can Tran, but there is no longer a threat at this time. They did find the individual inside a white van after being confronted by police. He was found with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Right now, the investigation is still ongoing, but the big question is what motivated this man to carry out such a heinous act? Back to you.
New at 11.
New at 11, a Grosse Ile woman is in custody tonight after a night of vandalism and a riot in downtown Atlanta. 37-year-old Emily Murphy faces several felony charges, including domestic terrorism. Police say she was among others at a peaceful protest at Underground Atlanta. The protest was in response to Manuel Tehran's death, who was shot at the future site of the Atlanta Police Training Facility earlier this week. Things got violent when marchers headed downtown and set a police car on fire and busted out windows to several businesses. In total, 6 people were taken into custody. Happening tomorrow, Detroit Police Chief James White will be giving us an update on the condition of a 5-year-old boy that shot himself while playing with a gun. This happened on Saturday at a home on Kendall Street near Linwood, that's on the city's west side. Police say it's likely the child will lose a portion of his left thumb. Investigators are still looking into how the child got the gun. Chief White also expected to update the investigation into a deadly car crash from over the weekend. One person died and 6 others were hurt, including police officers on Woodhall Street on the city's east side. We're told 3 officers suffered minor injuries. The driver, a man in his early 20s, died on the scene. Firefighters rescued 3 people out of that burning car. The Detroit Symphony Orchestra welcomes back a well-known jazz player after an incident that drew national attention. You may remember last month Cyrus Chestnut was performing a Charlie Brown Christmas when an audience member yelled a racial slur. Tonight, the jazz player took the stage at DSO again. Our Paula Tapman talked to Chestnut tonight. She joins us live. And Paula, he really just wants to put that incident behind him, right?
Well, absolutely, but he certainly doesn't want to walk away from it either. Good evening to you and good evening, everyone. Cyrus Chestnut has been performing music and teaching professionally for decades. He says he has never been racially attacked while performing on stage until December 9th here at the DSO. He says getting back on stage tonight was actually really, really difficult. But I do want you to know today, 4 days after his 60th birthday, Detroit wrapped its arms around him and celebrated him Detroit style. Detroit is that town. Come to the Symphony on a snowy Sunday as you are, wearing Carhartt to Cartier, sneakers and stilettos alike. All races, religions, all people in a single endeavor to love equally music. Tonight at the DSO, a do-over to correct the record for those who don't know this is a hate-free zone.
And then it was told to me that the woman I was with him was on a Tinder date. Definitely a reason to swipe to the other side.
In response to a man, reportedly, likely, drunk, no excuse, new to the DSO, still no excuse, here on someone else's ticket, December 9th, exclaimed loudly the F-bomb and then used the N-word towards the musicians on stage in a shocking public display of racism. Cyrus was at the piano.
It made me very sad. It's like, wow, even in this day and time, something like that I would imagine happening back in 1940, 1950. But here in 2022, going into 2023, haven't we learned anything? You know, and it hurts. It hurts. It hurts.
Tonight, the DSO addressed it.
Even though the show continued, you know, that energy was still in the room.
And minced no words.
His ain't coming back ever.
And inviting Cyrus Chestnut back, performed his own act of defiance in the face of ignorance and hate. And the audience wrapped these musicians in love as they played a short set. This is still deeply painful for Cyrus Chestnut and his musicians because to him this is so much bigger than just words someone yelled out. It was the comfort and ease in which these words were said in a public venue with a feeling of safety that there would be no repercussions or challenge. And that's why it was so difficult for Mr. Chestnut to return to the DSO stage.
To sit down at the piano and then just look across and still at some point hear that statement being thrown out into the atmosphere. If I turn away, then I give energy to that ugly statement and the ugly spirit that it represents. I can't do that.
Yeah, I also want to give some clarification because we've all been under the understanding, when I say all media, has been under the understanding that that attendee, that audience member, has been banned. That actually is not the case. DSL knows who he is. They've got a picture of him. Apparently they've made contact. They've made it clear he is not welcome back at this venue. But logistically and mechanically, it's very complicated to actually realistically ban someone. They are looking for the mechanism in order to do that. Should he ever even want to come back, of course, their hope is that he will not. Pamela?
All right, Paula, thank you. Still much more to come here on Local 4 News at 11. Here's Christy McDonald.
The growing pains of a changing downriver. What happens when an entire region bands together to change its image? I'm Christy McDonald, and I'll have that story coming up on Local 4.